Welcome everyone to our Mind the Moment Tuesday morning gathering brought to you by Harvard Pilgrim Healthcare and Tufts Health Plan. And this is a place where we invite experienced mindfulness instructors to speak with us about what mindfulness means to them and to discuss as a community how we can incorporate these important practices into our daily lives. I'm Suzanne Rowe Palacino. Very, very happy to be back here again with Rebecca Wing. She's a licensed clinical professional counselor and a mindfulness instructor with Harvard Pilgrim Healthcare. Good morning, Rebecca.
Good morning. Good morning to everybody. Nice to be with you today.
Yeah, nice to be with you as well. And your outfit matches your surroundings. So we're feeling like we're, just in a sea of color.
I'm a study in blue-gray today. Yes.
There you go. It works. It works. All right. So nice to see everyone here this morning, and a special welcome to anybody that's new. Wanted to mention that if you are new and new to meditation, we've got you covered here. We'll be guiding you throughout the whole half hour. Rebecca will start us off with a question for the group, and then she'll share a few thoughts with us and guide us in a guided practice of at least 12 minutes. So there'll be guidance all throughout, and a little time, silent time as well, which is good for all of us to give us time to practice with the consistently moving mind. So it's you'll have a little bit of everything this morning. So on that point, if you can go to the bottom of your screen and open up your chat. And in doing that, you can click on the drop-down menu, the blue one at the bottom that says host and panelists, and click on everyone. And then it'll give you a chance to share any comments that you have with the whole group, if that's something that you would like to do. All right, so Rebecca, what question?
Yes.
This morning.
So today we're going to be exploring the topic of patience and how mindfulness can support patience. And so the question this morning is, what makes being with the tension of waiting for things to change so difficult? So I'll say it again. What makes being with the tension of waiting for things to change so difficult? So this is that quality of exploring, that when we're not able to be with the tension of waiting for things to change, we become impatient, that we are wanting things to change in a certain way, specifically the way that we want it to change. And that creates a certain quality of difficulty for us. And so why is it so difficult to be with that tension as we wait? And I was thinking about that in terms of children in the back seat waiting to get to wherever it is we're going on vacation and the drive. And how not only they say, are we there yet? But a lot of times children will say, this is taking forever. And they're in the backseat, just tortured by the waiting of the thinking that's going to last forever, right? So that's one thing that sometimes we forget, that it will in fact change, and sometimes sooner than we think at times.
Yeah. That's so interesting, because when you talk about the kids in the back seat, it's really their anticipation of what's to come that's pulling them.
Yes.
To feel that. So it's just an interesting concept of, okay, it's going to be so much fun. It's going to be so much fun. Why, and I think that anticipation makes it every moment seem like it's like an hour.
That I'll be getting what I want. And right now I'm not getting what I want, right? So we talk a lot about grasping in mindfulness, that if we're grasping about what it is we want and really tightly, that we suffer, because that we can't be in the presence of recognizing that in this moment, I'm not getting what I want. Yeah. And children are a perfect example of that. They don't like not getting what they want.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, what an important lesson for them, huh?
And for all of us, of course.
For all of us, yeah. We all were part of that lesson growing up. Still are.
Yes.
So we've got some great comments coming in. Eva says, if it's unknown when that change might or might not occur, that becomes difficult.
Yes, and that speaks to uncertainty, doesn't it? I know things are going to change, but I'm not certain when. Beautiful. And I like this other one, for me, it's the grasping for what I perceive will be a better place to be. Yeah. that right now where I want to be is not what I want, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like this. Yeah, it occupies my mind. It holds me back for other things, right? It can be very distracting being impatient, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's something about that surrender that when we give up that, although that anticipation is good sometimes, like we
Mhm.
know that fills us, and how they say planning a vacation is almost sometimes better than being on the vacation because of that anticipation.
Yeah, yeah. And so in the meditation practice, and this is the thing that we'll be working with in our meditation coming up next, this aspect of patience has a lot to do with learning how to be and sit with our own body and mind with patience. So as I lead you through the meditation practice today, be thinking about how patience is a way of learning to be at home in yourself while you're watching things change and while you're waiting for things to change, so that this recognizes that we're able to be with the sensations in the body and watching the thoughts come and go with a quality of acceptance that in this moment I feel, or I'm thinking this way, and then in the next moment I'm noticing something different. So why don't we go ahead and find our posture this morning, as always, making sure that you're as upright as you can be so that you're really supporting the alignment of your body. That kind of posture really helps a way of a sort of being awake as well as aware and also at ease. So as you sit, finding place for both feet on the floor, really finding a place for the hands to rest. Just imagining the spine long and lifted, the shoulders resting on the frame of the body. And setting intention for arriving in this moment, in this room, with your attention. Take a moment to notice the body, where you're feeling sensations in the body, those of discomfort, those sensations of ease, or neutral areas in the body, simply observing. What am I noticing in my body right now? Encourage the mind to come home to the body, resting in awareness to whatever the body is feeling like right now. There will be breath there, the simple rise and fall of your in and out breath. Exploring this quality of breath with patient awareness and allowing as you observe breathing. when a thought arises, we decide to let it go and return back home, resting in awareness of the body and breath in this moment. Notice the push and pull of the thinking mind. We recognize its changing nature, and we decide to let go again, dropping back down into body and breath. We may notice the tension that arises between paying attention to one thing and having our attention pulled away by thoughts. So we become familiar with that sensation of the tension. We recognize the rise and fall of thoughts coming and going as a state of changing phenomenon. And so we let go and we drop back home into body and breath. For the last part of the practice, give the mind permission to do whatever it wants to do, and simply take a few moments to rest, not doing much of anything, just resting. As we end the practice, take your time, perhaps drawing in that deeper breath, moving the hands and feet, maybe a nice stretch as we end the practice.
Thank you, Rebecca.
I think it's a good metaphor when you really think about, it's not even a metaphor, it's a practice around patience with our own mind, right? This is why meditation supports patience in everyday living. When you learn how to be patient with the rise and fall, that tension that arises in the mind between what we want it to do and what it's actually doing, it really gives us it takes away another level of resistance, so that we're learning how to come home, in a sense, to be in home with ourselves while we're waiting for the mind to let go and let the thought go, and then noticing and then coming back. And I wanted to share a quote, a couple of lines actually from a wonderful book called Pay Attention for Goodness's Sake by the author Sylvia Boorstein. And Sylvia talks a lot about this quality of patience in terms of it being a practice. And so she says something in this vein here. She says, patience is supported by cultivating calmness, by practicing wise concentration, being able to steady the mind while waiting for things to change. In time, this allows us to develop tolerance to whatever is arising in the moment. And I think the point she's talking about, or when it comes to tolerance, I think somebody said in the comments that one of the reasons as a child, being impatient in the back seat is because the current situation is so uncomfortable. So if you're riding with the family and somebody's fighting or being harsh with each other, or dad's stressed because he doesn't have enough gas, or whatever's happening in the moment, there can be this sense of not wanting to be in the tension of the moment because it feels intolerable. And we think about patience, we use words like, I'm at the end of my rope, or my patience is running out, as if it's like a commodity that has a certain limited amount within us. And so the reality of mindfulness within the presence of patience is, this is uncomfortable. It doesn't feel good being in this situation right now. And I'm going to do the best I can to come home to within myself here while I'm waiting for the things to change. So that because I know it's going to change, but I have to work with being patient with the discomfort in the moment. And I think this is the thing that is the difference between patience and impatience. Impatience is, I don't want to feel this way. I want this feeling to go away immediately. And I cannot tolerate being in this uncomfortable position. And of course, that's the challenge, isn't it? That if we're resisting the inevitability of the tension, then we're not only not getting, the thing happening when we think it should happen, but we're also suffering even more because we feel that we can't tolerate the stress. Now, obviously, there are times when we can do something about it. We can decide not to wait in the long line at the grocery store and come back later, and we can do that. But there are times when we really cannot have control over how it is and in what way it is that we get what we want in the time that we want it. And how do we work with that? There's another thing that she says here, which I think is really important. Patience is more the quiet moment-to-moment adjustment to unpleasant circumstances, done in the knowledge that this unpleasant moment is as it is, and that eventually it will change. And I like that term, moment-to-moment adjustment to unpleasant circumstances. I wanted to bring this topic up today because September, for lots of people who have children, is another transition, right? So summer is over, and now we've got our children moving off to school or college. And of course, all the vacations are over. And so for ourselves as well. So now we're back to work full time and whatnot. And that aspect of recognizing that anticipation in the next couple of weeks of sort of feeling the upcoming change and being, a little uncertain about how it's all going to work out and not really clear, and working with, well, okay, I don't know how this is all going to work out. I'm going to do the best I can to prepare for the coming school year. But I also recognize that it's going to feel a little uncomfortable between now and then. I was just talking to a client I have who her daughter is going to be going on the school bus for the first time, and she's in second grade. And the mother's anticipation, she's impatient because she wants to be certain that her daughter will be okay on the bus. And so we were talking about how, well, have you talked with her about it? Yes. Have you really explored? Yes, I took her, and she even got to see the bus she's going to ride. Great. And then just really recognizing, okay. And so now between now and the first day of school, there's still going to be that little tension. Oh, I don't know if she's going to be able to do this. And so we have to work with that patience, knowing that eventually I'll have clarity on that. After the first week or so, I'll know whether my daughter can. But for now, I have to be with the uncertainty and the tension that that creates. So patience comes in lots of forms in that way.
Yeah, it's so interesting when you mentioned the mind and body piece of this,
Yeah.
because when you mentioned about this person anticipating, I can see, her shoulders and neck, like this is our control section of our body. And, I know with me that my body, those of us that have worked in mindfulness for a little while, every day we're getting more connected to how our body reacts. But
Mhm.
that's exactly when you all might notice, if you're meditating and you all of a sudden get taken away by thought, your body, you realize it and you're like, okay. And then you can kind of, you notice that subtle contraction,
Yes.
and
And
how important that is in our daily lives too. Like if you notice that subtle contraction, and if you let your shoulders go and your neck go,
yeah.
you might find your reaction to something might be a little different.
And that aspect of, when practicing patience, basically it's three different things. One is drop into your breath because your breath is there. And so if while you're waiting, let's just say in the doctor's office the appointment's late and you're having to wait, noticing your breath, noticing where in your body you might be able to soften, certainly settling the body itself a bit as you're waiting. And then also use your senses, seeing what's around you, taking in the environment, the sounds that are around you, like really grounding the awareness and the smell of the environment, or touching those things that are around you, being with the thing that you're holding. So this quality of patience has a lot to do with recognizing that we have an opportunity to also really rest the mind from future thinking and drop into more of that present moment awareness. So here's what I would suggest this week for those of you who are curious about exploring patience. Really notice small things like waiting in a line, or waiting in a waiting room, or being on hold on a phone, or whatever small sort of task that's going to require some patience. And see if you can practice that quality of coming home into your body, feeling that little tension of the waiting and wanting things to be a certain way, and drop into your breath in your body and really just sort of get a sense of what your surroundings are like, so that you're arriving in the present moment versus anticipating further into the future. So try it out, see how it goes this week.
I love that. And we all know our body is always in the present moment, right? So if we connect with the somatic feelings in the body, that
Yes,
will always be in the present moment. So
exactly.
thank you so much, Rebecca, for being here and for your wonderful teaching. We are so grateful for it.
My pleasure. Best to all of you out there.
Yeah, thank you so much. And we'll be back tomorrow morning for our Wednesday Zoom meeting format. Looking forward to seeing all of you then. Have a good rest of your day.
Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye.